If I sound congested, it's because I am. Also, if I sound angry, it's because I am. I'm not saying the people in my class are hypocrites, but the people in my class are hypocritical. So I have a research project I'm working on in one of my classes. It could be anything to do with writing, but my professor said we should choose something we're obsessed with. And I'm obsessed with K-pop lyrics in the same way he said another student did the same project on Taylor Swift. When I said my idea in class, I got weird looks, which is fine. Not everyone likes K-pop. I'm sure I don't like things they like. I don't care. But they asked if I spoke Korean, which I do not. I intend on learning. I've technically started the process, but they said I should tweak the concept a bit, which is fine. But the problem was that I didn't speak Korean and read English translations instead. Now, I've always been fascinated with language, even before I appreciated stories, especially to the level I do now. I spoke gibberish as a kid because I thought speaking a different language was such a cool thing, even if it meant nothing. When I was applying to colleges, I intended on studying French alongside creative writing because I wanted to be a literary translator, and people approached that with respect. I've read lots of translated books. My favorite play is No Exit, and I've only ever read one translation, but my teacher had us analyze it as a piece down to the line level, even if Sartre himself did not make those exact line level decisions. In this class, the same one with the research project, we just read Madame Bovary, a novel translated into English that was originally written in French, and we're analyzing it at a line level. But when I say line level, I do not mean aspects that heavily influence the piece in a developmental perspective. I mean word choice, I mean sentence structure, I mean specificity and tense and perspective and grammar. All of these things I was told I can't appreciate in a translation of a Korean song. I'm still doing my project on K-pop, but I made it about Yunjin from Sserafim specifically in order to include more English and try to understand the functionality of things she chooses to write in one language over the other. You guys will see that presentation. I'm making it a video since it's intended to be pre-recorded anyway. But as part of this process, I did a decent amount of research on translation itself and kind of the reputation it has. There are many ways to translate. Some people prefer pragmatic translation. Others think it's better to approach things in a lexical manner. Some people think a translator doing their best work is meant to be sort of invisible, like they did not influence the words you see on the page. I think, quite frankly, that is dumb. Maybe it's different for me because I wanted to translate whole-ass novels, and a lot goes into a novel. There are bound to be things that don't translate well from one culture to another. Even books from other English-speaking countries have quote-unquote translations that allow people like me in America to understand details I wouldn't recognize because there's a distinct difference in culture. Some scenes in translated novels occur in vastly different contexts to the original version, and that's just the game people have to play. I think that's an amazing feat that these people deserve credit for. But I think that extends to any translator in any translation. One huge obstacle in translation is grammar. It can be incredibly important whether it's written in a technically correct way or not. K-pop songs can do this as well. Whoever wrote Unforgiven by Le Sserafim might not be fluent in English, but I actually think Rules Can Give Up is a well-written line. Rules are simultaneously personified and minimized in an incredibly succinct manner, and the utilization of another language is, in my mind, never a detriment to a song. Twice the languages, twice the possibilities, which you can essentially always argue your own meaning for. There's a reason I can find existentialism in everything, because writing is not about what a writer says. Writing is something you extract from the page and make your own. It molds our brains, and I think a translator knows that better than anyone. They're trained to analyze things at a line level, so even if they have to be quote-unquote visible and express a sentiment in a different way, they are able to create something that communicates that sentiment. And I think it's amazing that it definitely varies from translation to translation. If someone preferred to prioritize the diction the original piece used, or if they thought what really mattered was the pattern of literary devices that the original writer established. I think that's fucking awesome. I think that's why this shit matters, to go on a journey of self-discoveries from words that came to be through all of this beautiful effort. I also learned that literary translation of Korean literature is not easy. It's a much slower process than translation of other types of content, and I feel like if it was as easy as translation from French to English, this entire dilemma probably would have never happened. That is my opinion, that we view media we are unfamiliar with as too inaccessible, too otherly to derive actual meaning from. And what does that make you? Forgive my French, but you are the other. You are the one diminishing the value of things and people that you've never connected with on any meaningful level.